let me start. So yeah, firstly, thank you very much, Zach, for this opportunity just to talk to you and the industry around the debt review and credit-focused Indaba that we've had recently. For those unfamiliar, here's a little short preview about Hyphen PDA. Hyphen PDA is a market-leading independent and statutory organization registered with the National Credit Regulator under NCR PDA 01. We pride ourselves as staying ahead of the pack by providing innovative solutions and exceptional customer service. We strive for perfection and appoint people who are committed, driven, and motivated, and effective in what they do. We have an empowered culture, and we are passionate about living our values, namely excellence, innovation, care, being authentic, and collaboration. We ensure that we keep to our purpose, which is to uphold with integrity the well-being of an economy and society in the debt review and credit industry. We strive to attain strategic distinction through sincere connections, collaboration, and care. One of the recent collaborative engagement has been the Indaba that we've had recently on the 11th of September 2024 with industry leaders in the debt review and credit faculties. This was facilitated by Zach King, the editor of Debt Free Magazine, Digi Magazine, and also in attendance was Maya Fisher-French, the money maven, writer, presenter, speaker, and author, representing the consumer's voice. We are also blessed with the attendance of a passionate Anin from Foodsock, who is running a great NGO initiative, which I think a lot of debt counselors and most importantly, distressed consumers could potentially benefit from. I intend to provide you with a brief update of the Indaba now. The definition of an Indaba, an important gathering or conference held by the Izidunas stemming from Xhosa and Zulu culture to meet for the business or matter of the day. The intention of the Indaba is meant to be focused, small, and intentional about sharing valuable strategic initiatives for DCs, CPs, and stakeholders to implement so that the industry and ultimately the consumer benefits from it. The building of trust is key in ensuring the sustainability and continuance of an option for highly financially distressed and over-indebted consumers, knowing that there is an option available to them as a resort to attain financial freedom. The following topics were discussed. Topic 1, improving successful collections, introduced by me, SK. We were investigating what the current best practices followed by the DCs and CPs in order to evaluate how that can be used by other CPs and DCs. Topic 2, proactive trends identifying consumers who are not committed to the debt review process, introduced by Robin from All Mutual Finance. Some of the questions that was posed in topic 2 was, will failure to pay DC or legal fees be a good trend? What other trends should industry be on the lookout for? Does this get communicated to CPs so that expectations can be adjusted around performance within the process? Will this assist DCs in understanding retention trends, post sign-on and efficiencies? Some key takeaways from the Indaba on topic 1. DCs can consider 6 to 10-day tracking instead of the 4-day conservative tracking days, which has been an extremely successful strategy by some of the leading DCs in South Africa. It may come at a slightly higher cost. However, the success or benefit may outweigh the cost. Benai Sager, chairperson of the NDCA SA, the National Debt Counselling Association of South Africa, has provided great insights and benefits of this approach, who he has personally achieved through their DC business. Other chairs such as Reinhard Pietenberger and other DCs mentioned that they'll try it, and we can evaluate the success at the next Indaba when they prove whether this is a myth or the truth. Tian and Herman, voluntary members of PDASA, Payment Distribution Association of South Africa, also agreed that this thought-provoking idea was great and seldom practically understood in the industry. Some key takeaways from the Indaba on topic 2. CPs have no idea in the first 2 months whether a consumer is committed and intends to repay their outstanding debt as negotiated and agreed to with the debt counselor. The CPs merely need a status update to alert them on how to budget and forecast for month 2 and 3 and onwards in order to ascertain whether the consumer is committed to the debt review process or not. This is a great initiative identified and shared by Robin Reichman of Old Mutual Finance and highly supported by Laszlo, Consumer Friend, and other CPs such as Capitec, Nedbank, Newton, Nimble Group, Upstream, and others, just to name a few. I trust that the Indaba was valuable to all attendees, and I'm really looking forward to the next one, which will be scheduled for early next year.
SK, is this at the Indaba? We spoke a little bit about doing a mini workshop or some sort of webinar where we could share it. Is that what we're enjoying right now, or will there be any other updates along the line?
There must be other updates, Zach, along the line. It's important for us to have momentum in terms of what we're trying to do and achieve through the Indaba. And the point here is that it's the strategic implementation that needs to take place. It'll be nice to hear a few DCs on the next one or a few CPs. One thing that we could implement is the status. And does the status actually help CPs? Because that status will tell them, oh, hold on, of all the debt, of all the consumers that I've negotiated with and agreed for debt review in the first 2 months, maybe 90% will be paying me in month 3, or maybe 40%, so they have a better idea. That's the one. The other one is, if we look at converting a lot of DCs to start considering strategically and implementing in a 3-month window, can you consider looking at a 6-day tracking? Not the 10, not the 4, but find something in between. Has that improved your successful collection rate? Has that really moved the needle for you? And that's a benefit, because the more you collect, the more obviously a PDA can distribute. But more importantly, the debt counselor and the credit provider are fulfilling their function and their role and responsibility to support that consumer. So for me, building trust, getting the consumer to realize the importance of this process and how it benefits them. And all the consumer needs to do is provide the funds. The rest of the job is done by all the professionals around them. And that's why professionalizing this process through, amending of an act or upgrading of the act is extremely important.
SK, also I wanted to just mention, of course, not everybody was at the Indaba. You've mentioned some very large organizations, some large credit providers, some groups of debt counselors that were there. In many ways, you were testing the waters. What do we look forward to in the future with that?
So we were very fortunate to have a lot of chairs of various associations at the Indaba. Getting these chairs to take it back to the members within the associations to consider practicing, getting a few examples from various members of these associations, that will start putting more belief that there's practical solutions out there. There are DCs that don't have the luxury of strategizing, going out and having a workshop for a day or two. Using this opportunity where specialists, experts have actually had the time, made the time to do this, invested to do that and benefit of it, I think is extremely valuable. But it's about trying it and then seeing, does it really work? If it doesn't work, it may not be good for you. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. But you did one thing more this year than you'll ever done for the amount of time you've been in that practice. So for me, it's about that example. More than that, we could have other industry experts that have succeeded in different ways in the future coming through at these Indabas and saying, I've got something that worked very well. Today, a lot of people are holding practical solutions that could solve a lot of things for people that are sitting with these problems. For me, there's success in that, Zach, by getting people together, collaborating sincerely, sharing it. There's no competitive advantage in that. The consumer will ultimately win in every discussion. We're not saying come and share your intellectual knowledge, come share your intellectual property. We are saying come and contribute to build trust. Trust is very, very important in this industry. And whilst building trust, how can people learn and share valuable skills, valuable trends, valuable practical solutions that they can go back and actually try it. And if it does work, imagine everybody doing it. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to also just say I really appreciated not only the research that some of the people that were there had done, but their opening up and sharing the suggestions so that others could think about best practices in the industry.
Absolutely, Zach. And I think getting to a point to be vulnerable, a lot of the DCs that's to step out, or the chairs of these associations to step out and become vulnerable, because you're sharing quite intimate information, and you're like, oh wait, hold on, how is my peer viewing this? There's a very good chance, like, wow, why would they even think of that? So definitely agree that people actually putting themselves in a vulnerable space, really putting what their best opportunities out there, and yes, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work for you, it's also okay.
Yeah, amazing. So we're crowdsourcing the best solutions that people have come up with for
Yes,
particular problems, and then saying, let's try them out and
yes.
give them feedback. That seems to be what we're talking about with the Endavas.
Try, test and try. Yeah, trial, test, implement, succeed. If it doesn't work, what's the next one that we can go on? The intention here, Zach, is to be focused. We don't want an Indaba. The Indaba is a focused discussion. What is the meeting of the day? We want to make sure that these topics are pertinent, that the topics at the end of the day are going to really add value. And we are working, as you mentioned, in a collaborative way for that success, and various stakeholders in various associations participated.
Well, thank you very much for providing feedback. We really appreciate it. It's nice that we can keep current with what's happening in the industry. And I think looking ahead, a few months' time will be the next Indaba, not too long from now, actually, in the new year. But it'll be very exciting to see what the topics are and to find ways that we, as the community, can contribute ideas, thoughts, and suggestions to the topics that are raised.
Absolutely, Zach, and build trust. I think it's so important to build trust. And these topics doesn't always have to have a solution. It's just, are you, and maybe there's somebody out there that actually has a solution. And through crowdsourcing, it's the only way to get that response. But from my end, Zach, I think thank you for facilitating, bringing us to meet Anin. It was such a different experience, knowing what's out there, what's available, that can take debt review not just on supporting the consumer from a financial transactional perspective in terms of the credit provider, but also put a meal into their body in a position where they can't afford to do so. And just blending those things starts showing that the ecosystem of the society through these initiatives are growing, and that there's more things that we can do under debt review, and not just the financial transactions and the empathy and the support that the debt counselor needs, the debt counselor and the consumer derives through the NCA. You will not go through NCA and find FoodSoc and an NGO that's coming to the party with some initiatives that are so different out there. So it was very fascinating, and my experience was very great. And thank you, Zach, for facilitating that, for bringing Anin out there, and letting us understand there's something more, and more greater than just the debt review process.
And thank you too for also making it possible. I know you were a big motivating force, yourself and Robin and all the other people from the associations getting together and finding the right time for these things. As soon as the new data is available, please tell us all. As soon as if you're going to give a webinar, tell us all. If people are going to give feedback, tell us. We just want the information and we want to contribute. So thank you very much.
Stay tuned, it's on its way. Thanks, Zach.